Hi, I'm Amy Snell, and we're going to look at how to make the elongated stitches that are worked as part of the motif in the Dinkins Bayou Cowl. When I'm on the correct row designated in the pattern, I'm going to be making elongated stitches all into one specific stitch. You can see down here that all of these elongated stitches are worked into one stitch, all using contrasting color yarn. So to start my right leaning elongated stitch, I'm going to look at this column of stitches that's 3 over from where I am, and I'm going to look at the stitch that is the 5th stitch below the stitches that are on the needles. That's this stitch here. It's the first open stitch below these 2 stitches that have yarn working across them from our inlay rows. So I'm going to reach into this stitch here with my right needle, grab the contrast yarn, and pull it through. Then I'll take the next stitch from the left needle, slip it as if to knit, which turns it, and then work those 2 stitches together through the back loop. I work a stitch, then the next stitch I'm going to work and lock my contrast color yarn behind. I need to do that, otherwise these elongated stitches will not be anchored anywhere. So I'm working this just like I lock my contrasting color in any stranded color work. I'm going to go into the stitch that's on the needle and under the contrast color yarn. So I'm just going to hold that here so that I can bring my working needle under that contrast color yarn before wrapping my main color. And then I'll pull my main color stitch back out by going back under this contrast color as well as the stitch that's on the needle. That just anchors that yarn to the back. Then I work a stitch plain, and now I'm ready to make my left leaning elongated stitch by going into this same stitch. It's now 2 stitches behind, and it's now the 6th stitch down below on the needle because I've worked another stitch on top, but I'm going back into that same stitch. Once I've pulled that yarn up, I slip the next stitch as if to knit, and I knit into both of those stitches through the back loop, just like that. When we're ready to make the central stitch in our motif, we'll now be reaching into that same target stitch, which is now the 6th row below the stitch on our needle. Again, we reach through with our right needle to grab the contrast color yarn and bring it up on the right needle. We slip the next stitch as if to knit in order to remount it, then slip the 2 stitches back onto the left needle so that we can knit them through the back loop. You can find more knitting tips, tricks, and techniques here on my YouTube channel or on my website, deviousknitter.com. You can also look on my website for my upcoming teaching schedule. I'm often teaching at virtual festivals and may be coming to an in-person festival near you soon.